Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to How Birdie Helps You Master Your Finances. My name's Katie Deacon. I look after the events here at Birdie. I'm delighted you could join us today. I'll be talking you through today how Birdie helps you master your finances. So before we dive in, just a quick few housekeeping items. We will be recording today's session, so please ask questions in the chat for our Q&A at the end, and we'll send you the recording and slides afterwards. So now, let's get started. Who will we be hearing from today? First, you will be hearing from Fred, who is our Senior Product Manager here at Birdie. He leads our finance product development. We'll then be hearing from Lucy Wakeford, our Onboarding Manager, who works directly with agencies to maximise their use of Birdie's finance features. And then we will also be hearing from Ed Massey, our Commercial Director at TRIVER, who are our cash flow finance partner. So together, we will show you how having finance deeply embedded into your operations software provides tangible value. So where are we today? I mean, I'm sure all of you know this already, but the care sector's challenges have reached a new level of intensity. Expectations are higher than ever, resources are extra constrained, and competition is tougher. So when you can't work any harder, you have to work smarter. And that's what today is about. But technology isn't meeting these needs. Most agencies are stuck with paper processes or first-generation solutions that don't connect. You might also refer to these as Franken platforms. Now, what is a Franken platform, you might ask? They are systems that are bolted together that were never designed to work as one. Data doesn't flow, you're re-entering information multiple times, and you're managing technology instead of focusing on care. So if any of this resonates, you might have fallen victim to a Franken platform. If you keep an eye out over the coming months for more information on Franken platforms and how we can help you slay yours, because that is the heart of what Birdie does. So how can Birdie help you with your Franken platform? It does this by helping you work smarter in 3 ways. The first is get everything working together in one connected system. The second is see everything at a glance to spot issues early and respond quickly, so you can practice proactive rather than reactive care. And lastly, it's never feel alone again. Join our ever-growing community of forward-thinking care providers. And just to touch on what Birdie is, we cover 5 domains. That's your care management, your rostering, quality and compliance, finance, and workforce management through 3 interfaces. That's your agency hub, your central command center, the carer app for professionals on the go, and the family app for loved ones. But what sets us apart? That's our 3 promises: partnership, not transaction, a system that you can trust, and built together so it works together. There's no Franken platforms here. And the result is quality, care, plus efficient operations, which equals a sustainable agency. And managing your finances efficiently is absolutely crucial to achieving all 3 of these elements. Without financial health, even the highest quality care and most efficient operations can't sustain your business long term. So, just to bring this to life, the statistics are pretty sobering. 81% of agencies experience late local authority payments, and there has been a 10% cost increase from regulation changes for care providers over the last year alone. And your average profit is 7.6%, but a recommended margin of 7% according to the UK HCA. So essentially, there's a lot of factors that make being financially efficient difficult in the care sector, which means what you do internally is even more important. So today we're going to cover 3 main areas. That's your cash flow to pay and get paid on time, increase profit margins to grow your business, and also to stay compliant to ensure business longevity. So we're going to start with cash flow, and I'm going to be handing over to my colleague Fred, who will be kicking us off.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. Let's talk about cash flow a little bit. Just as a reminder first, cash flow is the amount of cash that's moving in and out of your business over a specific period of time, say a month. You obviously want it to be positive because that means you're making a profit, and you also want it to be predictable. You want to know that you get paid on time so that you can pay all of your staff and all of your bills at the right time. Now, you can't really control all of your payers' behaviors. Late payments is always a risk in any business, including in social care. God knows it happens with councils as well. But what you can control is how timely and accurate your invoices and your payroll are, so that you're always getting things out in time, which will increase your chance of actually getting paid on time and retaining your carers. So I'm going to walk you through today some of the things that can help you streamline your invoicing and your payroll processes through a little demo. Before I share my screen, I will say that for starters, one of the biggest advantages you can have when you're using software is a finance product that is seamlessly working with your care management and with your rostering. The main reason for that is that you're going to be able to access real-time granular data. You're not going to have any delays. You don't need to do any manual entry, and there's no risk of, transcription errors, anything like that. So having this deep integration means that when a carer completes a visit or when you schedule a shift and so on, that data is immediately available for you to add to an invoice or to a pay run. So onto our demo. I'm going to show you a little bit about funding flexibility and how that can help you get your invoices out correctly the first time around. We'll talk about invoice cycles as a tool for automating your invoice creation. And then I do want to touch a bit on payroll. So I'll just talk about travel rate cards and how they can help you save a bunch of time at month end. So if we start with our first piece here, which is funding, some of the eagle-eyed viewers might notice that the menu on the left-hand side is a bit different. We've just updated that. It's launching tomorrow. We did this based on research that we did with yourselves, with our customers. So we're quite excited to demo it. And so let's talk about funding. We all know that, especially if you're working with the council, you can have really complex funding setups where you might have a payer, such as Hackney Council, that is paying for multiple different individuals, but also these individuals are part paying for their own, and so on and so forth. And you end up with these complex things where for one client, you need to create 4 invoices or something like that. The advantage of having a very flexible setup is that here, as you can see, you can set up your payer. I need to put an email address here. You can set up your payer and immediately afterwards set up as many contracts as you want, and move on to creating links with your different clients. And you can see here, I've created a payer Hackney, I've added a rate card, and now I can go ahead and add clients. What I'm doing here is I'm selecting all the clients that I want to be on this specific contract. And these clients can then also have multiple different contracts assigned to them. And you can then link all of these contracts to specific visits so that one client can have all of their visits already labeled ahead of time so that when you get to month end, you don't need to reconcile anything. Everything is going in the right invoice. So that's one first example. Another area where you can save yourself quite a lot of time is by looking at something like invoice cycles, which is a feature we have in Birdie. Cycles are pretty straightforward. You can just define a cycle. Let's say this is my, Hackney Council cycle, and let's say it's every 4 weeks. And you can go ahead and set that, and it will just keep running, which means that when you get to month end, generating your invoices is as simple as just clicking one button and generating. That again will save you all of that work of figuring out when do I invoice whom and what needs to go in what. That's all automated for you beforehand based on your inputs. Now, I did say I do want to quickly touch on payroll. The only one I will mention here, but there's plenty you can do, is travel rates. We all know that travel is a massive topic in social care. There's a lot of rules relating to national living wage and working time and so on and so forth. Being able to set all those things up ahead, having waiting time automatically calculated, commutes, breaks, etc., means that when you do payroll, one of the biggest calculations, which is this, is taken care of. And so with these things, hopefully, you can end up in a place where you have a lot less work at month end and you can get those invoices and that payroll out really swiftly and ensure that everything happens in time. Now, as a follow-up to this, there's quite a few examples of how you can be more efficient, but those things change all the time. And to stay on top of cash flow, you also want to have really deep, complete visibility on what's happening in your business. So, Lucy, I think you have some examples here of what we can use to get that picture of the situation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Fred. Yeah, so beyond efficiency, most of the partners that I work with also want to have visibility to spot patterns, catch any delivery or billing gaps, and to predict seasonal changes. And actually just to kind of better understand where their money is going. So tracking all of these metrics is going to allow you to proactively manage by staying on top of your data. So I'm going to run through some key insights that we have access to today, all available through our analytics platform. And the really useful thing about this data is that it pulls from something that is kind of built as one. We've got our care management feeding our delivery data. So when you're marking a client as inactive on the Birdie admin hub, that is automatically going to pull through as a lost client for you to then find some insights out about that. We also have rostering that's providing scheduling insights. So, we can find out how much mileage is actually costing us. And then finally, we've also obviously got our finance tracking our costs and our revenue. So we've got everything in one place to give us a real-time cash flow picture. So I'm going to very quickly hop in and share my screen. Hopefully you can see a revenue summary report. So on here, we can see a complete picture of our invoice revenue against our actual service delivery. So I filtered this for the last 2 months, and you can see that we've got almost £12,000 in invoice revenue here. And the system has worked out we've got an average hourly rate across all of these invoices of £26.75. So this is really super interesting to understand your pricing effectiveness. Are your private contracts doing enough here to supplement your local authority work? Are you invoicing all of the hours that your care professionals are reporting? Below this, you can see a 6-month history showing our revenue patterns, and you can spot any seasonal trends here or identify months that might need a little bit of attention. We've got almost 8K, or just over 8K in August here. So it's a significant increase for us. So it might show me that our business is growing, which is great. Next one I want to show you is payroll. So payroll is our biggest expense, and it's really important to understand exactly what you're spending your money on and whether we can make any efficiency improvements here. So I can see here that we've actually got quite a lot of mileage and travel costs here. I've done the calculation earlier, and it's actually 51% of our working pay time, which is loads. So we might need to think a bit harder about how our calls are scheduled. Can we organise them so that carers are doing a little bit less driving, maybe? Final report before I hand back is the profit and loss. So this report brings all of that data together, and then it breaks it down by client. So this is dummy data, so I wouldn't expect to see that you guys had a gross margin of minus 2,255% with one visit to Paul McCartney, but you might see something a little bit like Lily James or Peggy Smith. For example, they're on 8.5 and 10.7. Those are really, really healthy margins there. And this view helps us to know exactly where your money is going and coming from, and it can be used as a decision-making tool to identify which clients to focus growth on and any that might need any contract renegotiation. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Britannia, who are going to tell us a bit more about their experience with payroll and invoicing.
My name is Lauren Stockwell, and I'm the care manager for Britannia Home Care Limited. We are a domiciliary agency that are based in East Surrey, and we are one of the single biggest providers. Birdie Finance has helped with our invoicing and payroll because we, as a larger provider, have lots of contracts with the local authority, with reablement, with the NHS, the private sector, direct payments, and being able to clearly navigate when due dates are ready and have been able to work more streamlined at getting those invoices out has helped us immensely. We have clear invoice cycles. It's simple to navigate through finance when you're setting up purchase orders and attaching contracts and putting in the right funding groups. We've sped up processes, so we have better time management. I mean, we physically wouldn't be able to do what we can achieve in a day on our previous software. One of the amazing factors was working with our customer success manager, who helped us create a report to be able to upload to social services for the invoicing, because every local authority works differently. So I'd say that having it tailored to your organisation has been a bit of a game changer for us, and it's saved us so much time. I mean, we can literally download one report and then upload it to their software, and we're pretty much there, apart from, anyone in hospital and any of the amendments that you need to make. So it's been really effective in that sense.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lucy and Fred, and our partners at Britannia. I will now be handing over to Ed Massey at TRIVER, who will be telling you a little bit more about TRIVER and how they can help you mitigate your risk of late payment, and also why this is particularly important for care providers. So over to you, Ed.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katie. So I'm from TRIVER. Birdie and TRIVER have got a really close relationship and partnership. I guess where Birdie help you streamline your day-to-day care delivery, we at TRIVER can help you to unlock the cash that's needed to keep it all running smoothly. So I thought I'd kick off today with a quick question. Who has had to delay staff payments or making essential purchases because of a late cancel payment? If you can drop a yes or a no or a comment in the chat. And I guess whilst you're just doing that, I'll tell you a quick story. So I was at the care show in London, I think it was April or May, and I bumped into a lady and we got talking and she was telling me how she had £270,000 outstanding that was, I think it was around 11 weeks late from her local authority. So I think it's really tough to run a business with a cash flow hole like that. I can see some comments, some yeses, some nos in the past, yeah. So I think that, from our experience, it's cash flow in the care industry can be really tough, and there are a lot of local payment authorities which do pay late. But fear not, our mission at TRIVER is to help you and other businesses manage these cash flow issues in the best way possible. So what we do at TRIVER is we provide care providers with fast, flexible access to cash flow finance. It's instant, it's affordable, and unlike other solutions, there's no personal risk and there's no debt involved. We do that by enabling care businesses to unlock the cash they have tied up in their unpaid invoices. Or another way of putting it would be, we enable you to get your invoices paid out as soon as they're sent versus having to wait the 60, 90 or however long it is for the local authority to pay. So that's kind of neat. But what does it actually mean? Well, it means for you that you can turn your local authority invoices into instant cash. So it gives you that peace of mind that rather than spending time chasing payments or worrying about finance or how to make payroll, you can just concentrate on delivering the great care. We already work with many care providers up and down the country, and I've personally spoken to quite a few of them actually, and I've been pretty shocked by some of the stories. I think, a few have come up on screen now, and I think Grace in orange, this is one to read because, she was having to borrow from family and from friends. She was actually taking high cost loans out, and she was having to put her own finances at risk to do that. And it just wasn't right. So she did find TRIVER and we made a big difference to her. And, that's what we can do. And hopefully to avoid, having to borrow from family, friends, or to put your own personal lives at risk. So what is it that we actually do? Why do care providers benefit from us, and how have we got an NPS of 91? So I'm just going to give you a very quick high level here. So first of all, we're a really fast and simple platform. It takes about 5 minutes to open an account. It's all online. There's no paperwork. And once you've opened an account, you then have the ability to upload an invoice to then get the cash advanced from it. That's a really simple journey, and that takes 1 to 2 minutes. And, once that's approved, the money comes into your account in real time. It's a really good facility that gives you peace of mind. So when you do open an account with TRIVER, you're given a facility limit. This is it's essentially called like a pot of money that you're able to access at any time, like an overdraft. And it's typically around 10% of your revenue, of your turnover. So that gives you huge peace of mind because you know that if cash is tight 1 month or authority is late in paying, you have those funds available to you to call on whenever you need them. The way you do that is you just submit an invoice to us, and then you're able to draw down on the funds that are available in your account. And there's no cost to have an account. So we price very transparently. So that's why it's good to have an account, because it gives you the peace of mind. And then once you actually need to draw down on the money, that's when you pay for it. You don't pay for it just to have it there. And the costs are low. So fees start from 0.06% per day when you do advance an invoice. Now, that won't mean anything to you, but like in the finance world, that's good value. So if you advance an invoice for 30 days, that means you'll pay 1.8% of the invoice in fees, or it's equivalent to £6 per £10,000 advanced per day. Don't take personal guarantees or securities, so there's no personal liability to you in applying and having a TRIVER account. And I think really importantly, it's not a loan. What you're doing is you're advancing cash that you already earned. You're just getting that money into your hands earlier. So it's just a timing issue. And your local authority never need to know about it. So that's just a very high level, bit of an overview of why we're different and why we seem to work very well in the care provider sector. You can check out Trustpilot scores and go to the website. So from a process point of view, just very quickly, I'm going to show you a demo, a 90-second demo in a minute. But essentially, as I said earlier, you go online and you open an account in 5 minutes. There's no paperwork. And then once you've got that account and once you have that sort of overdraft facility, you can then advance an invoice, and you do that by uploading your invoice to the website. And then once that's approved, in real time, that money comes into your account. And then once you are paid by the local authority, we will then take the fees from you via direct debit about 8 days after that payment date. So it's all very automated, and you don't need to worry too much about that, and early repayments are allowed. So if we just go to a quick pre-recorded demo here. So here we are on the TRIVER dashboard, and we can see that we had a facility limit there, and now we're going to upload an invoice. So we're uploading an invoice there. And excuse me, because this is a demo dashboard, so you'll see that the invoice is a bit made up there. So that's the invoice uploaded to your account, and I filled it with random data here. So you have to fill in your buyer name. You have to fill in a bit of details, and the invoice total I've put in as 25,000. That would automatically read. Now you can choose how much you want to be advanced. How much cash do you want on that? So let's say you only need £15,000. Again, here you can go on that and ask for only 15. You just have to confirm who your buyer is, and there you go. Here's the invoice advance screen. So today you can get £15,000 at 0.06. So the total fees you'll pay is 450 to have that money 50 days early. That's the repayment date that's automatically been set. And you say, yeah, I'm happy with this. And boom, there we can see you've actually been paid. So the funds are in your account right now. It's really quick and easy. And there you can see that your facility limit has gone down by the £15,000, but you still had 65,000 to go. Now, just final slide from me. Birdie customers, if you're a Birdie customer, you're eligible for a special promotion, which is the first £10,000 that you advance will be for free. So there are a couple of caveats to that. That maximum advance is for 40 days. And you will receive an email after this webinar with the discount code in that email, unique code in that email. And that's it. I can see that. Do we charge interest? No, Alice, we don't charge interest, but we do charge a sort of fees. It's technically not interest, but it essentially is interest, and that's 0.06% per day, which is 1.8% a month. Happy to take any questions afterwards, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. That was very interesting. As Ed said, we'll be following up with all our partners with that bespoke code for you to redeem if you are interested. So yeah, watch out for that either today or tomorrow. Now, moving on to increasing your profit margins. And we know that healthy cash flow doesn't automatically mean healthy margins, which brings us onto our next section. So yeah, I'm going to be handing back over to Fred again, who will be kicking us off with healthy cash flow.
Yeah, that's right. Healthy cash flow indeed doesn't necessarily mean healthy margins. You can have good, predictable cash flow, money coming in on time and leaving on time, but that doesn't mean you've got a healthy margin there. You can even increase the amount of business you do, see more clients, do more hours, but actually decrease your profit margin over time. Which could be a strategy, but that will depend on how you actually approach it. So to be able to make a profit that you can actually reinvest in your business, the first step is to have a really good understanding of where your business and your operations currently are. You want to be able to diagnose the issues, but also the opportunities, not only the things that are going wrong, but the places where you could gain margin by looking at data and understanding through data how your business is doing. And you want to do that before you actually make financial decisions, right? That's the first step. One of the advantages of having a finance solution like in Birdie that is deeply integrated with your roster, with your care management, is that you're able to see all of this data that contributes to your margins all in one place. For example, you might be making a bit less money this week because there was an unusual number of issues, which led to maybe carers spending longer with certain clients and so on, and you compensate them for that without having that view of care delivery and of the visit and of alerts and etc. You'd have quite a hard time understanding your finances at month end and diagnosing why am I making less this month or this week than I have in the past. So one of the key things for us, or one of really mission that we have at Birdie, is to be able to take you from insight to action, especially in the context of finance. And we have a whole suite of analytics that are designed to support you with this. Lucy, you showed us a few reports earlier, some really useful cash flow specific reports. But can you tell us a little bit about the Pulse dashboard that we have at Birdie and how it can help with spotting risks, but also opportunities for your margins?
Absolutely, I can, Fred. Thank you. So the Pulse dashboard is my favorite of all of these reports. Even if you don't have time to look at anything else that I've shown you, you could actually just use this as your one-stop shop to get a proper snapshot of your business performance through a financial lens. So it's really, really helpful. Instead of month-end reports, it's going to bring together key indicators of how your business is performing financially. So it's a little bit of an early warning system updated in real time. So I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay, amazing. So this is the Pulse dashboard. And at the top here, if I scroll down a bit, we have a breakdown of our carer and our client retention. So as I was saying earlier, this feeds directly from our care management platform. So you don't have to do anything, but these figures are already going to be populated in here. Obviously, this is a indicator of whether we're growing or shrinking as a business. And if the number of lost clients is much higher than the number of new clients, then we know that we're shrinking slightly. You can see a monthly breakdown here. We've had quite a steady year of growth for both clients and carers, and we've only lost clients in a couple of months and carers in a couple of months as well. As I said earlier, this is dummy data, so yours might look a little bit more dynamic than this. We have a client breakdown by group here. And then if I scroll down a bit further, we can actually compare our invoiced revenue with our pay summary in the same place. So ideally, we're going to want this number to be quite a lot larger than this number. And this one is without travel. We've also got a breakdown of travel costs. So as I said earlier, we're not particularly efficient in that regard. So we might want to look at this screen to identify what the problem is. Looks like we've got quite a high proportion of our travel costs in our commute, if I look at this figure and at this figure. So can we make any efficiency improvements here? Can we use some of the techniques that Fred has shown us earlier? And yeah, commutes are massive, so you should use these insights. Bit further down, we've got a breakdown by client, and we can take a look at some of the insights here. Are many of our clients meeting their maximum hours per week? It looks like they're not. Jack Sparrow's got 20, he's only got 1.5 scheduled. Which of our clients have the most cancelled hours? Which clients have the highest invoiced amounts? We can use these to decide to take some action on the Birdie Admin Hub. We've also got a breakdown with pay runs, so we can see who's meeting their contracted hours, who gets paid the most in travel. And if I scroll down to the bottom, we've got a breakdown by month and by group. And then usefully, we can scroll down and see if we're actually charging for all of the hours we deliver. So actually, it looks like we're not doing great here. Especially in February, you can see we actually delivered 4 times the number of hours than we actually paid. We delivered 4 times the amount of hours that we charged for. And then finally, we've got some data on cancelled visits. So how many visits are cancelled each week and why? Are we invoicing for these hours? Maybe we need to rethink our cancellation policy if we've got a lot of different cancelled hours in here. So after we've spotted these trends, it's time to take action. So Fred, what would you do to react to these insights?
Thanks, Lucy. That's a great question. I think once you've diagnosed these things, oftentimes what you'll find is that you need to make tweaks. The examples we're giving you today are a bit extreme. You've got, gaps of 15 hours and things like that. We know that that's not usually how it presents itself. So making tweaks means being able to have really granular control and making small changes without losing all the whole point of having automation and software, which is to have things running smoothly without you needing to make any manual changes. So we've really built our reporting and our finance features to get you from that diagnosis, which Lucy just showcased, to the treatment, the tweaks or the changes in minutes rather than in months. I want to show you a couple of features here just to talk a bit about that financial agility and that granular control in the context of automation. The first thing that I will start with is talking about how we put visits into finance, how you put visits into finance in Birdie, and the granular control you can have there over what actually shows up in an invoice and a pay run. And then we'll talk a bit about rate cards, because that's a really good example, I think, of where people will go and make tweaks, where there's a problem with rates, and you want to adjust your margin a little bit. Hopefully, this will give you a good sense of how having this flexibility helps you turn this analysis into action. So I start with confirm visits. Within Birdie, we have the confirm visits page, which is in a way this first line of defense against outliers, events that can hurt your margin. The reports are amazing for that, but sometimes you might not look at the report all the time, maybe not every hour, whereas visit confirmation, you will receive a steady flow of visits as they are being delivered. So you'll be able to catch there any visit that looks a bit different. In Birdie, any visit that you pay or invoice for has been reviewed and approved through visit confirmation. So nothing weird is going to end up in your invoices. There's nothing there that's going to accidentally push, a visit that was an hour over that you don't actually want to pay for or things like that. Every one of these will have been reviewed. So as you're looking at visit confirmation or at your reports, you might find, for example, that there's a customer that keeps having fairly low profit, that keeps generating quite a low profit for you on average per hour. One of the things you might find there is you might find, oh, actually, it's because that person lives too far. And so everyone we keep sending there, their travel is, say, 5% higher, their mileage will be 5% higher, but that adds up and it can very quickly obliterate your margin, especially when you're not operating on a 30%, royal margin. We're talking about slim margins that you need to kind of succeed with. So one thing that you may want to do here is you may decide, you know what, I'm going to agree to new rates with this client because this is not feasible. We can't sustain this offering, but I want to do that easily. And maybe I want to do a bit of a trial run and I don't want to rock the boat with any of my other clients. I just want to make a tweak. So a tweak here could be you picking some invoice rates here and deciding I'm going to put a 2% uplift for this one client. Maybe that's something you've agreed to. And deciding I'm going to do it from next month because that's when I want the uplift to take place. We'll finish this billing cycle and we'll start fresh. You can do that and apply it. You could also say, actually, I want to add something. I'm giving this example because I've heard a lot of customers do this, a lot of our partners. I want to add a fee. I want to add a fee that's a long distance travel fee, and it's a surcharge. It's a £1.50 surcharge that is going to be added to every visit. And so you can go ahead and do all these things and apply your uplifts and so on. And that will ensure that you've just made these very specific changes. You can make them just for that client. You can test them out and see how your numbers respond. And at the end of your billing period, make sure that this has had the impact you want on your margin. So it's just an example, but again here, flexibility is key to being able to make the changes you want. So talking about all these different things, diagnosis and how you take action, we've got another video here from Lauren from Britannia again, who's going to give us a bit of an example of how she uses the Pulse dashboard and kind of what it's done for her.
The new Finance Pulse dashboard has been amazing. It's really nice to be able to go to one hub, one place, and be able to see the different aspects of the company for growth and making business decisions. You have a month by month of profit and loss. You know, you can do that over 6 months. You can do that over a year to look how your company is sort of growing and evolving. You can then determine the pay structures that you want to give to your staff, if you need to focus on recruitment, any company upgrades that you want to make based off of that information. I obviously come from a care management background, but being able to screen that information lets me know, okay, we want to take on more packages in this area, or we're limited to taking on packages here that we're at capacity, that we could do recruiting in a certain area, but actually, you know, we've got enough staff on evenings over here. So it's having that insight into the company. You can look at any lost clients, you can look at any new clients. Same for your staffing, and it's really helpful for all people within a management position to be able to see that information to make those company decisions.
And thanks, Lauren from Britannia. It was great to hear how they're using the Finance Pulse dashboards to get better oversight of their finances. So we're moving on to our last section today, which is around staying compliant for agency longevity. So I will be handing over to Fred again, who will be talking you through.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, staying compliant is essential, but it can be quite complex. The classic example is the national living wage. It keeps increasing. Working hours is a complex concept defined by HMRC with travel time and waiting time and all of that. And the more visits you do, the more your manual calculations are going to be prone to error. Here again, having finance software that's built in tandem with your roster and your care management means that you're getting the full view of what's happening, and you'll be able to use that to stay compliant. All the more important when you consider things like travel. Having the right policies is a great starting point, but you want to have accurate, auditable data that proves that you're following those policies in practice. So when we think about compliance at Birdie, we're thinking not just about enabling you to do the right thing, but also about how we keep track of the changes you've made and enable you to prove that. So let's talk a little bit about national living wage. I'm not going to give you a demo here just because it's frankly a fairly tedious thing to look into, but I wanted to highlight it. Staying on top of it can be a real pain, but if you have all of your inputs like travel all automated, then you know your working time, and we've built a flag that provides you real-time calculations of all of these things, tells you exactly where you might have a gap, where you may need to add a little bit of pay, and just helps you essentially make the adjustments you hear. This is a good example of something I keep hearing how useful this simple tool is, because getting pay right it doesn't just ensure that you're compliant. It ensures that your carers are happy, that that you retain them. In the mid-run, care dissatisfaction is such a huge source of costs. So, again, the many advantages of staying compliant. On that note, actually, talking about carers, Lucy, there's quite a few other things that agencies want to stay on top of, right? Especially when it comes to staff contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, Fred. So beyond living wage, we also want to make sure that our sponsored carers are getting the hours that they need to fulfill their visa requirements. We want to make sure that we're fulfilling our agreements with our care professionals if they're contracted with us to have a certain number of hours per week. So compliance failures here can jeopardize our licenses, our contracts, and our employee retention. So really, really important stuff. I'm going to share a report now to demonstrate that. So the one that you can see here is our guaranteed hours report. And this one gives us a breakdown by carer of how many hours they are scheduled to work per week. And you can view this in the past, you can view it in the future. And you can also compare the number of hours they've reported with the number of hours that they've been paid for. Sorry, the number of hours they've had scheduled compared with the number they've been paid for. So you can see here that, for example, Paul has, Laura has 20 hours contracted, but they've only had 4.58 schedules. So we're going to need to think about increasing their rota for this week, finding a couple more visits to assign. Whereas we have someone who seems like they might have too many hours, Paul, and we're going to need to maybe cut his down and give them to Laura. So the aim of this report is to keep you on top of your contractual obligations here. So with that, I think we're going to hear a little bit more from Britannia now about their experiences.
Since using Birdie Finance, I would say that we're more transparent as a service because of it. You can obviously send off logs to the social care team when they're reviewing packages of care, and it also minimises errors by having finance and care management all on the same integrated system. You're able to sort of flick between both to be able to rectify any discrepancies on invoicing, provide people with an explanation to be able to sort of overcome them more quickly. It's saved us valuable time and money essentially by working on the all-in-one system. My favourite thing about Birdie Finance is definitely the versatility. You can tailor it to your organisation, which is really helpful. It can be quite daunting when it comes to finance because, as a home care provider, you don't want to worry about money or paying staff or, things going wrong, especially when it comes to that aspect of it. But it's all been very smooth sailing and we've had a lot of support. And now, looking back, I don't know how we were managing before with all the processes we had in place and how simplified that it's been made because of finance. It's more open, it's more transparent, it's easy to navigate, easy to use. It's been a game changer. We always recommend Birdie's all-in-one system. It's allowing us to do our jobs easier and really put value on what we're doing out there in the industry. It's taken away all those difficult jobs and all those administrative jobs that we've been bogged down by and allowing us to go back to our purpose, which is providing quality care for individuals and streamlining the way we all work. It's benefiting home care and care in general massively and allowing us all to progress within the industry.
Great. Thank you, Lauren, again. So just to kind of summarise what we've spoken about today, Birdie can help you with cash flow management. We can help you get paid faster, accurately, and reduce your admin time. Profit margin optimization, use data to diagnose issues and come up with a solution. And compliance assurance, set update automated flagging, track your guaranteed hours, and have clean, audit-ready data at your fingertips 24/7. And I think the key difference here to call out is the integration. We're built as one platform, we're not bolted together, and this is what creates the value. When your systems talk to each other, one piece of data, like a completed visit, automatically updates your cash flow, margin analysis, and compliance tracking simultaneously. And that's the power of integration versus trying to manage separate systems. So just to move on, we've got a couple more slides. Any existing customers on the call, please do let us know in the chat if you would like more support to better utilise the finance product, and we will follow up with you separately. I will just leave 10 seconds or so just to allow people to answer. But yeah, so any existing customers on the call, if you would like more support with Birdie Finance, then please do let us know in the chat and we will follow up with you all individually. Great. Moving on to Fred's closing remarks. He's going to just talk you through his 3 kind of top tips to round off today.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of hopefully quite practical things and tools that you can use. I just wanted to share some things, having worked for years now with a lot of different partners in social care, just some patterns that I've observed and that I think are just worth sharing. So I wanted to give that out if possible. The first one is you want to monitor your operations closely, as we've hopefully demonstrated with a lot of the reports today. The main reason for that is that all of your operations are the things that lead to your financial outcomes. Your financial outcomes are the sum of all of the decisions that you've made up to that point, including things that may not seem super obviously finance related, that may not have a pound amount assigned to it. But effectively, every way that you or anyone in your business uses their time is something that's going to have an impact on your financial outcomes. So monitor those operations closely. The second tip, which hopefully is quite also related to that first one, is It is easier to monitor things and to stay on top of things if you start simple. One of the things that I've seen time and time again is people get stuck in quite complex ways of working. They've maybe followed a pattern that was there before they started working in the business, or they've gotten stuck between different council requirements or things like that. I genuinely believe that there is always a way to start simple, to keep things straightforward, and to add complexity as you need it in a very thoughtful, strategic way, rather than just including it, because over time that can really add up to something that's quite hard to manage, and situations where, for example, making a tweak to your margin becomes really hard because there's just too many inputs. So that was the second one. And the third one, compliance, we've talked about it. It's essential for sustainability. I just want to I want to demystify compliance in a way. It is quite complex, but there are so many resources out there. You can go HMRC every year, do a working time webinar and national living wage webinar where they explain fully and they break down for the social care industry, how does this work? What do you need to think about? What are some quick equations you can have in mind and things like that? And that can really help kind of break down that problem and making something that's much more approachable and much easier to put into your thinking. Similarly, UK Home Care Association, we shared some of their data at the beginning of this call. Just so many different resources that talk about finance and how you can make the right choices and inform yourself about compliance and what you need to do to be a sustainable business. So yeah, those are just some parting thoughts. Obviously easier said than done, but hopefully today we've given you some tools that will help you on that journey. Go in this direction. Thank you all so much. Now we can move on to the Q&A part of today's webinar. Please submit your questions in the chat that you'll find on the side there. If there's any questions we don't get round to, we'll include the responses in a follow-up email, so no worries. And of course, contact us if you want a demo. And remember TRIVER's special offer. We will also share that around, as Katie said. So yeah, thank you so much. And looking forward to your questions.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. I think we're going to start off with a question from Chloe, which was around, she said, I don't see where holiday pay rate calculations feature in the compliance section, i.e. how different pay rates for different shift patterns is reflected in holiday pay calculations. Lucy, I think that might be one for you, if that's all right.
That is one for me. Yeah, and that's a really, really great question, Chloe. And I'm really glad you asked it, because we were debating together whether we were going to include the holiday pay report in this session. We ended up deciding against it, but I'm glad that you asked it so I can show you exactly what this is. So let me actually share my screen again so we can have a little look. So what we have here is our holiday pay summary report, which is available through Looker. So this is what we have two reports. We have this one, which is our summary, and we have another one, which is our summary for payroll. Basically, I'm sure as you are aware, if you are having to do holiday pay calculations day by day, month by month in your organization, it's quite complex. The sums that you need to do are a little bit complicated, and the actual way that you need to calculate this, you have to work out 12 point something of something or other. Basically, what our report does is it calculates that for you. So we pull all of that data from the admin hub, and then we can actually see it immediately with all of these calculations in this holiday pay summary beta. So you can see the data from payment start week in the last week, and we can actually have a look at each of our carers and see the total hours that they've worked, along with the total cumulative hours they've worked. So that's since the beginning of this holiday year. We can see the number of hours they've accrued. So that's how many hours they have to take for holiday. And we can see the under/over hours. So that's the difference between the number of hours they've accrued and the number they've actually taken. And to take an hour in Birdie, you just have to book an absence for that carer. So on the team page, you would just need to add in an absence for them. And then it actually works it out based on their average daily hours, which is here. So you've got all of this data here, which is going to support you to make these calculations and actually work out how many days of holiday your carers have accrued and how many they're able to take in the future. And then actually from there, we have another report, which is going to tell you how much you should be paying them for those days that they have taken for holiday. So, for example, Kelly has taken 4 holiday days this year, and that's a total number of holiday hours. And then it's going to tell you how much the system thinks, based on the average daily pay rates, how much you should be paying them. So hopefully this answers your question, but there is a lot of data in here, and I'd recommend going in, having a click around and seeing if it provides what you need. And we're always here to help if you have any questions, because it is obviously, as you probably know, quite a complicated situation.
Great, thank you so much, Lucy. Oh, sorry, the light's just gone off. We did also have a question in the chat from Guma. So the question was, can you show a demo of the payroll process, timesheet entry to invoicing? Fred, is that something you might be able to demo?
Yeah, for sure. Let me show you that. So I'll start by saying that a timesheet entry per se is not something you have to do in Birdie. Carers will deliver visits, they will check in, they'll check out. Those visits will get a set of actual timings as well as their planned timings, which is whatever you set those visits to, whatever time you set for those visits to happen. And then you're able to look into that and confirm the visits that you want. So look here at, let's see if I can find anyone that has, there you go, beautiful. Here are 2 visits, one on the 3rd, one on the 5th. I can see that they vastly went over time. This one lasted 3 days more than it should have. This one 6 hours more. We'll ignore that for the purpose of this demo. And you can go ahead and say, I want to confirm those, and you'll be confirming them to invoicing and to payroll. You can also say, I actually don't want to pay for these things, so I just want to invoice them or just pay them. But talking about payroll, we're going to confirm it all. And then when you go into your payroll, which is generate pay runs, you're able to look here. So if I remember right, this was my date range. There we go. That was Katie. And both of Dot's visits. Voila. So I can see here, Katie traveled for each of these. She had mileage for each of these. That's her paid time. All of the rating that's going to happen here, so the pound amount that Katie is going to get paid for those, you've already defined within pay rates. I'm not going to demo pay rates. They are as complex or simple as you want them to be. You can see here, you can do pretty much anything you like with pay rates. But I'm going to go back here and select Katie again. Voila, there she is. That's your timesheet. Katie's going to see this timesheet on her mobile app when she's delivering care as well. She'll be able to look on that and say, hey, there's a visit missing. And so she'll be able to flag that way that, oh, there's a visit maybe you didn't confirm. You didn't put it in payroll, and so I might not get paid for it. That will also save you problems at month end because this is all updated in real time. And then you can just go ahead and create a pay run. I'm going to make a pay run just for Katie. I can see it's going to be 1 care, £18, hour and a half of care. And voila, here I am. I can see, oh, look at that. Katie's not being paid enough. In fact, her current hourly pay sits at, oops, sorry, I clicked. Her current hourly pay sits at £11.79. It should be £12.21. That's the new national living wage. So the required pay is £63. Her current pay is £61. How much do I need to add? £2. I'm just going to go into here. I'm going to add, I think it was £2.18. There you go. I'm just going to make my top up. And I say NLW top up. There you go. And then you can just go ahead and export your pay run, put it in your payroll provider, send it to your payroll accountant, however you do payroll, however you actually pay your carers, you can get all of that out here. So that's how we do payroll at Birdie.
Thank you, Fred. We did have a question from Bright, which was on when the next webinar is going to be on this topic specifically. We don't have any plans to do another finance-specific one for the time being, but we will be hosting kind of how Birdie helps with different parts of the product. So keep an eye out for those, and we'll let you know. We do have some finance product training webinars, though. They're on demand, and we run some live ones too. So we'll make sure to include links in those in our follow-up as well. And I think there was a question as well from Trina, which was around holiday accrual, and we'll follow up with you separately on that and get you enabled on that too. I'm just seeing if there's any more questions in the chat. We have a question from Nigel, which was around I'll read it out. We have clients whose care schedule routinely changes and the care management staff add visits as needed. Is there a seamless way to add a specific funding arrangement to each added visit without the care management staff getting confused when they add the visits?
So let me play that back. Is there a way to add funding to all of your visits? And that is funding for invoicing? Is that what I'm understanding here? So is there a way to ensure that every visit is labeled with the correct payer so that your invoices are going to come out right? I'm afraid I'm not sure where the care management confusion would come in, but I can show you briefly how you can add funding. I'm not going to go into huge depth. We have a bunch of training for that, but I will show you at a glance. If you go into your visits, let me share my screen here. Voila. If you go into your visits, you can just go into a visit and you can decide who is going to be charged for this visit. So you can go ahead and set that up within the funding information here. So I'm just going to say that this is something that's going to be billed to Bath and Avon Council. Again, the list of options you're going to get here is entirely dependent on what you set up in finance earlier, what I showed you, the payer, contract, and client linking. So you're not going to get the full list of every possible funding. You're going to get the list of whatever funding you've already made available to that client. So I'm going to say it's Bath for this series of visits. And so that's going to apply to that. And I can just go ahead and kind of pick each different series of visits. Maybe the Wednesdays 9 to 9:30 gets paid by someone else. I can go into there and ensure that that's all set up correctly. So there you have a lot of flexibility there on how you assign funding.
Thank you, Fred. So that was all we have time for today. But if we have missed any questions in the chat, we will follow up with you afterwards. We'll be sending out the slides and the recording over the coming days. And if you have registered your interest in being enabled further on Birdie Finance, then we will be in touch with you to help you do that. So thank you very much for your time. It's greatly appreciated. We know everyone is super busy. And yeah, you can send any questions to support via the chat or support@birdie.care if are there any customers out there that do have any specific questions. So thank you so much, and we'll hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.